Hey guys, welcome, welcome. So I just finished doing a session, and when I ended, I was asking, "Okay, what's my next task?" I always ask, "What's next?" I muscle test it, and I always go in to see, like, what am I supposed to do? So when I finished, I was told, "You're going to open up a YouTube and you're going to um, go live." And so I was like, sort of thinking, "Well, what do you want me to speak about?" We don't always get all the steps at the right time. So they were just like, just follow the breadcrumbs one step at a time. So they wanted me to come in and just do a light language transmission, a clearing, um, and connect everybody um, through my light language back to the grid that's there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to um, get into the flow of that energy that is there. So I'm just going to hold the grid. So there is white light that's coming from above and green light that's coming from below. So we have these two layers coming together to form an energetic shell or energetic, um, I don't know, it's electric magnetic type field that's there. And so this goes all the way around Gaia. Um, and I'm just feeling it to make sure that it's all complete. There's no holes. It feels really tingly in my palms when I feel it. So they just wanted me to like express the steps that I take when I check the grid. So I zoom out myself and then I'm outside of Gaia and I hold Gaia between my hands and I feel around to make sure that there's no kind of like dead zones or spots within the energy field that don't make my hands tingle. If there was, I would find it and I would put my hand on it, and then it would start doing the work. Like my hand would automatically start sewing and closing any holes that are there. It would just kind of look like that. So you just keep holding space. So now I'm gonna pull up the collective. And what the collective looks like for me is a widespread group of people, but I don't see them as people. I see them as like a color, a big grouping. And the more I focus on the big grouping of color, the more individuals join that spot, and the bigger the color grows and expands. And so then when I speak directly to the collective, I just speak directly to that big um, energetic pool of individuals. So I'm just going to speak to them now. Shukoya kikia kieta kita kukoya kita shukukoya kita kikia kieta kikia kita kukoya kite. Zatataya kikia 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 kikia. So when my language says kikia kikia, my language is coming from a consciousness, a collective consciousness that I call up on the second layer. So this is where the archangels created, and on top of that, there is another layer that I just named myself the second layer of these other beings. So these beings are coming in from because Gaia has ascended from here to here and is moving. They're in charge of that movement from here upwards, the ascension piece. So that higher level will come in, and I met this being. His name is Guan, and he is from that second layer, the higher realms, I suppose. So that's where you hear my language talking to Guan. Guan has a giant book, and when I met him, he was like, "Look, anything you need to know, just tell him. Just let me know what you need to know." And I was like, "I don't even know what I need to know. I don't know." He's like, "Look, let me just do this, and then you will now have that knowledge come out in your light language." And I was like, "No, that's a great way of doing it because I don't know what I don't know, so it'll just come out in my language, I guess." So that was sort of our agreement. So just so you know, when I'm QQQing, that's Guan's influence from the second layer there. Tutotoya kikia tikitai shukumoyakai shikai tikiai shukukoetai. Tutoya kitai shukumoyakai. So just making a space now for the collective to stand, just clearing a spot. Shukoi, 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 kaiait. Shuetai, shh. So the collective is here, standing. Um, so I'm just going to speak to them and let them know that this is part of what we're going to be doing is connecting to the grid as a collective. Zokoi, 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 zeya, zeya, sumonaya kite. Shh. Zokoi, zagai, zokomoe, hikai, yitai. So they're starting to glow. Shukoi, shikai, zokoi, sukumoe, sakai, suku, 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 da 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 da, shukoi. So just getting them to expand. Shukoi. So I'm just asking if they'll use their energy. Ah, ikatai, shukoi, te shukui, and helping them stay lit. Shitui, shikui, takai, shikui, shikui, shikui. Okay, so they're nice and energized. A lot of energy through the collective. So I'm just now going to ask them to expand their light into the grid. Koia te kiatai a kukumanaiakai, sututue shikai to kukoe te kiatai kitakmoiakai. Sututadai shukudoe te katakadai shukumoiakai. So all this grid needs to be lit and energized from the collective. Tututoe kitai kitakitakai shukutokoe. So do you understand the role that this is going to have? Tututoe hikikikikikikitakokai shikai tukukoe. Mamamananai hikite hikikikikikikitakokoe kikite kikikikikitakoe. Moekakai, hikite, kite, kikite, shukukite, kikikikikikikikikikikikikik. Totoe, hikai, hikita, koe, kita, kitakoe, moekai, kikikikikikikikikik. So it's just helping the collective coating, putting a almost like a wrapping them in a shielding protective bubble type um, coat, because those individuals that are using their energy for the grid and connecting to it in this way has this extra layer of I don't know, coating, I guess, on it. That's the best way to put it. So they're just adding some crystalline to this coat for those individuals that were like, yeah, sign me up. Shukutukoi, tikatikatai, shukutukoi, tikatikatai. So tututoi, shikadai, shukutoi, shikadai. So we're going to expand all that energy now into the grid. Toi, hikita, kia, 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 kia. Kito, yetikia, kia, tikia, guide. No yakitai, hikukwait. Nana yakita, kita, kito, kumoi, hahiti, kita, puhuet, kia, tatadai, hitukukwai, dadai, jajai, tukukwai, hitai. Just smoothing it out through the lines. Do ya, you, nai, yitokoi. So that looks like it's connected, it's attached. So the purpose of this is because Gaia's energy fields keep dropping and they keep dimming and they're not up and secure and steady and full of light like they have been. So people that have been following know that September was huge for us. We had a lot of upgrades for Gaia. Our system was outdated. It just needed to have like this extra oomph added to it so we could continue our ascension journey into that trajectory that we were on. Our old system just wasn't going to be able to sustain us in that way. So we had a lot of upgrades that went in for September. They were activated by the last full moon. We came out of that. Everything is good. And then, but our energy field for Gaia has been struggling. So I will often wake up and find I'm not connected to the grid anymore. There's not enough people connected to the grid. The grid is been knocked offline. And it's just really difficult at that point to get clear channels, clear answers. So as a whole, I'm noticing through the spiritual community a lot of distortions. And it's not just myself. Other people are coming to me and they're like, is that? And I'm like, yeah, don't listen to that. That I don't know what that is, but that's not of light, or that's false light, or that's half truth, or like we have to really be high in our discernment right now because Gaia's energy field is doing this. It's not steady and consistent, and that acts as a bit of a shield system to protect us and to make sure that we're getting accurate and secure, consistent, proper information coming through. So what happened? Um, this morning, I noticed that I the grid wasn't lit, I wasn't lit, something was wrong. So I went outside of Gaia and asked, what is wrong? Why is the system, why is Gaia, she looks lit, but the grid isn't lit. So what's wrong? And they told me that the planet beside ours has a problem. Each planet is aligned and we're a whole system, and each planet's energy feeds the next. Like we're all in a big giant circuit of energy feeding and symbiotic relationships. So the planet beside ours was not giving off enough energy in order for Gaia to pick it up. But we were lit. Everything was fine with us, other than not getting this energy from this other planet. Um, this energy was in charge. The energy coming from that planet would give us the crystalline layer, which is like the last and final sprinkle the fairy dust on it and make it fly. So that wasn't happening. And it made it so that people that muscle test weren't getting accurate muscle testing. People that were using their intuitive knowing are like, I think it's this, but if I don't cross reference and check, I'm not sure if it's this. So there was this like disturbance that was going through. So I went out and I asked, who's bugging this planet beside us? Like, why does that planet have a problem? And sure enough, there was stuff being used on that planet. Um, and finally, I was able to meet the beings that were using the stuff on that planet. And they kind of tried to argue with me because they're like, this directly doesn't impact you. This has no, why are you getting involved? Your mission is to focus on Gaia. And you're actually focusing on this other planet. And I'm like, because it impacts us. Like, I can't do my work because you're screwing with this planet beside us. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, you, who authorized the use of all these devices that impact the energy fields? Because whoever authorized that, at this point, I'm like super annoyed because this is an ongoing thing that has been happening since September. I'm going constantly out, organizing, creating fixes, talking to beings. I'm like, my job would be a lot easier if you all that had these devices ran the use of the device past council first. So it became a yes. Any device that's being used on any planet for anything needs to be ran through council first. And I was like, yes, like that's a huge win for us because I don't think people understood, or the beings understood, how it was going to impact on a huge scale. They have been worried about their survival and what's best for them. And each time a device is used, whether it's a sonar device or weapon device, like whatever the device is that's being used, impacts us as a huge system and not just Gaia. So I was like, this has to stop. You can't just, okay, we're in a contract. We have a weapon now. We're going to use it in this way. It doesn't really impact you. It's fine. And go on about your business. That's not how this works. So, big win today in that all the use of these devices is it has to be written into the contract when a device is obtained. That yes, so if I was going to be like, oh, I need a device for X, Y, and Z, I'm gonna make a contract with this being so I can get this device and I'll help and assist them. Um, it will actually not work until I get the approval. So the key to making this device kickstart to on is going and getting that approval. So that was, like I said, a big win because then I can come in afterwards and once it's being used and say, wait, who approved this? Take it back to council and say, this is causing this, this, and this to happen. Is this being aware? And is this what the original approval was for? The same thing happened with DNA and um, sort of like the abductions around collecting DNA, modifying DNA, upgrading DNA. Like there's different programs that are out there and they all have to have approval from council. And so there were at one point in time there was approval from council to do like some DNA collection and things like that. Um, but they quickly reworded it or like it wasn't really all that clear in the wording around the approval. So they got approval and they like played around with what the meaning of that meant and then used it for their own good. So I was able to then go back and say like, "Do you guys know they're doing this? Because that's I'm pretty sure not supposed to be what's supposed to happen." And they were like, "Yeah, we gave the approval, but not for that." And I was like, "Okay." So like I don't stick around for the solution or what the problem or what the what the like punishment or consequence might be. I just highlight this is what the problem is, this is what's been happening, this is what you need to know. Yeah, that's all my role is. um and so yeah, then they addressed it and fixed it from there. And I never really know what they like, I never really care, I guess, what the fix is because I just highlight what the problems are. um, so yeah, that's where we're at. So I'm hoping now that we've connected more of the collective back to the grid, and we've used council to kind of oversee some of the device use, that it's going to feel a lot better with through the community with getting distorted messages and needing to use such high level of discernment. Some people feel it through their bodies as well, different aches and pains, or just feeling like weak, stomach pains, like coughs, headaches, things like that. So that should feel better in the next coming days around, hmm, some of those symptoms that I mentioned. I also wanted to invite anybody that wants to come to channeling class to expand their channel, to learn about channeling, to learn about discernment, to learn about how to do open a channel or any of those pieces. We're doing a meeting in probably 6 hours, 7 hours to disconnect as a group and do a little bit of channeling, learning and growing, expanding, activating. So if that sounds like something you'd like to do, it's $45 for the month. We meet 3 times. We have a group chat that we support each other in. We'll also be doing Tuesday nights, different membership. And that one's all about growing together and often finding and discovering things that we've left for ourselves in past lives. So that one's kind of more of a regression and exploration. Anyways, I look forward to seeing you guys soon, and I hope you've liked the update on what's going on in the energy fields for Gaia. Anyways, take care, guys. Bye for now.